Hello again, video friends. In this video I want to discuss tips on PvP and GvG. To jump right in, I wanted to show you just a history of my PvP just this week. Obviously, if there's a plus and a green number here, that means I won the match. And as I scroll through here, you can see that all through the week, today being Friday, I only lost one match through the course of an entire week. And I have had a lot of questions on how do I do better at GvG, how do I do better at PvP, I'm losing all of my matches, what do I do? I would like to discuss that in this video. As you can see here, here's the proof that my method works. I'm going to probably discuss a couple separate teams that work best, and also a few strategies that I use. So please do stay tuned. Make sure to click that subscribe button if this was helpful for you. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Stay tuned. How's it going, video friends? Please don't be overwhelmed by the massive wall of text here. In this video, I'm going to dive into some PvP and GvG tips. Please do note that if you want to take them as serious as possible, you will need to come back to this, pause this, kind of read it for yourself, and dive into some of the specifics that are going to give you a 90 to 99% win rate. I've done it for the past month or two, and I know it's completely doable. Just follow the directions specifically. Do not replace any of the minions with just random ideas, because if you don't follow these to the T, it can actually hurt you quite a bit. I want to say a special thanks to all of you that have congratulated me on level 200. Pretty awesome feeling. If there's anyone else that wants to come join us on Facebook, please do so. I try to take all of your pictures and give as many shoutouts as I can. If you guys find these PvP or GvG tips helpful, please let me know below, and remember to hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot, guys, and take care. Okay, beta friends, so as we jump into PvP here, my first tip is going to be always take off 2 pieces of gear. Notice here that I have my offhand and my ring off completely. By doing so, this brings my total item level down, making it to where when I do PvP or GvG, I will be matched against considerably less powerful players. So when doing this, just keep in mind, never take off your main weapon, 1, and 2, whichever ones you choose to take off, make sure your attack and your speed are as close to even as possible after you take them off. Notice mine are only 4 stat points difference. Okay, so now that we have both of those off, we're going to jump into PvP. The maximum amount of tickets I recommend if you're taking PvP serious is 3 tickets. This will allow you to have 5 total players to look at versus 3, and in my opinion, it seems a little bit less aggressive the fewer tokens you use. But you can use whatever you want. I recommend 3 or less. If you're still trying a strategy, make sure to just use 1. Once you have your strategy down, maybe venture up to 2 and then the 3. But I would never go higher, and the reason is, if you wager 5 and lose, you lose a lot more points. So it's up to you. I personally only use 3 max. We're going to click play. Okay, let's look here. One thing I immediately do is rule out anything that I know is going to give me a problem. Number 1 things that are going to give me a problem is Melvin, legendary accessory, and Jimmy, legendary pet. Also, I rule out anyone that has a spear. It looks here that I don't have any spear players on this one, so I'm just going to go through every player and look at what they have. This one has a common accessory and a rare pet. Also notice this player is 91, I'm level 200. So by taking off 2 pieces of gear, I play people that are half my level. And this is going to allow me to get much easier PvP ones. So if you're struggling, I highly recommend taking off 2 pieces of gear. This guy looks pretty good. I'm going to take a look at his runs. Nothing fancy here, so I'm probably just going to play this player. But I highly recommend looking at every one, because some players, like this one, is going to be super tanky, and if you're not very good against tanks, maybe you don't want to play that player. But my highest recommendation is to never play a player with a spear, because they can crit your back line and randomly just take out one of your players. So let's play this guy here. This is my lineup. I will discuss later in the video different lineups and why they're good. Okay, so let's go through the match real quick. First off, I want to identify who I want to kill first and why. Usually my number one rule is to always kill the healer, no matter what, whether that be Borland or Squibbo. Either one, if it's a healer, including if the player is a healer. If the player is a healer, he's going to be wielding a staff, and you want to kill him quickly. So let's press 1 here, build our mana. After my Robbie takes a couple hits, I'm going to take advantage of the switch button. Let Robbie take a hit. Okay, notice I can target enemy now, so we're going to start picking off Borland. Okay, my Robbie took some damage, so I'm going to swap him out with the other Robbie. Keep in mind that my Robbies are taking these hits because they have enough health to do so. I would not recommend doing this with Quirk, Borland, or any other player that has super low health. Again, this is just one of many strategies. But this strategy in specific allows my tank to never die. And whenever my Jimmy procs, it will heal all my players versus just 1 or 2. Okay, Borland's dead. Now with my Quirk, I can again target enemy, and we're going to try to kill the bat because he does a ton of damage. Okay, now it's 3-5. We're just basically won the match already. So let's continue to build our mana. I'll put Rollace back since all players are damaged now. Now if my Jimmy procs, it'll heal every minion for 1 to 200 health versus just 1. For example, if Rollace was the only one damaged, he would get healed for say 200 versus the whole team getting healed for up to 800. So keep that in mind. Let's try to kill the rat here. Okay, rat's dead because we have the target enemy ability. And we can basically just keep pressing 1 until we win. I highly recommend never taking the auto button, ever, even when you think you've won, because I've lost a lot of matches like that and it's just not worth it. Okay, please stay tuned. I'm going to go over a couple more strats and also talk about some familiars you might want to catch, specifically for PvP. Thanks a lot. For our next tip here, I'm going to look through each and every player, specifically avoiding certain things that I know are a problem for me. Right away, I disregard anyone that has a spear. So for example, this guy has a sword, this guy has a sword. Other things I would look for are, for example, if you're below level 100, I would avoid Jimmy, and I would avoid any legendary accessory, whether it be Melvin or what have you. Also look at their runs every single time. If, for example, you're fighting a tank and he has a redirect run, I would recommend not fight that player, because a tank with redirect is going to be a lot harder with the strategies we're going to discuss. Let's go ahead and pick, say, this guy has a sword, he has Jimmy. Not a big fan of Jimmy, but that's okay. I usually avoid him. This guy has Jimmy as well. This guy is a legendary. Okay, this guy looks like a tank. Has redirect, so avoid. And this guy. Okay, so this guy looks perfect. So notice how we checked every player. The one that we ended up checking last is the one that we are going to go with. So you have 5 choices for a reason. Highly recommend look at every player. Stay away from spears because they can pick off your back line with a crit. So I specifically target players that have a sword only. So Dr. X here, we're going to fight him. We wagered 3 PvP tickets specifically so we have more of a choice. Here's my lineup. I will discuss other lineups here shortly, but the reason I have this one is to rotate my Robbies out so that my tank can have a little bit of a break. So our next tip here is to never use auto. When I first started playing, I wasn't a huge fan of PvP, so I would auto every match, and I started to notice that I was losing a ton. So if you are autoing, just stop doing that and check out some of these strategies. Okay, so right away I need to identify what on his team I want to kill first. And in this case, it's going to be the Korgs here. So let's go ahead and start with 1 to build our mana. After my Rollace takes 1 hit, I'm going to take advantage of the switch button. This switch button will win you tons of matches. Just try to experiment with it and see what you can do. For example, I'm going to let my Rollace take a break, and I'm going to let my Robbie take 1 hit. Okay, after he takes that hit, I put the other Robbie in. At this point, I could start picking off Astaroth if I wanted to, but I'm going to save it for Korgs. Okay, our Robbie took a hit. Let's go ahead and put Rollace back in. Since he has a sword and can do frontal cleave, I'm going to put this Robbie in the 4th position, making it to where he can't take any unnecessary damage. Let's go ahead and do the AoE twice. Now, my quirk, specifically chosen quirk, has this Noxious Strike ability that I can target any player. So we're going to use that specifically for the Korgs. And my player should be able to attack him next. Looks like Rollace is getting beat up, so I'm going to put Robbie out here. And let's see if Rollace can save the day. Pretty close. Okay, so my hero's going to come in. We're going to finish off Korgs. Okay, now it's 4 to 5. We pretty much won. We just have to play it safe. Okay, that Robbie's taking some damage. This one's pretty low as well, so I'm going to put Rollace back in front. Alright, his tank is dead. Now it's starting to get a little more serious now. We have to pay attention. So again, we know that since he has a sword, the front 3 minions are in danger. So if one of our minions die, we can actually put the RIP statue here and making it to where if he does a frontal cleave, he will only attack the front 2 minions. So that's mitigation for you. His Robbie is getting about half damage, or half life now, so let's go ahead and pick him off. Okay, Robbie's taking a ton of damage. Let's put out someone that's a little higher. I know my hero has very little health, so let's just do the cleave. Okay, let's have Quirk take 1 hit. Okay, so it's looking like 4 to 0. We could have had a little bit better. We could have done 5 to 0, but now you can see just by taking advantage of that switch button that the whole match was always in control. So make sure you take a look at that switch button and stay tuned. I'm going to discuss a few other strategies and a few other team lineups that you might consider. Stay tuned. Okay, so now moving into GvG, same principle applies. If we look at my character, I've taken off the same 2 pieces of gear. My attack and speed are about the same. And by taking off the gear, I'm going to fight much less powerful players. Again, I'm level 200. Let's dive into GvG. Again, I only wager 3 tokens max, and this is going to allow me to pick from much more guilds than, say, 5 tokens would. The more players you have to choose from, the more odds are in your favor. For example, again, if you see tanks, you want to look at their runs to see if they have redirect. If they have redirect, I usually try to stay away from them. Let's take a look at this guy. So he has Jimmy. He's level 88. So we're just going to destroy this team here. Not anything really fancy for the bronze, so I'll probably play this player. But for example, this player has a spear. I'd probably stay away from her. One other amazing tip I've found recently, and this works at any level. Let's say I take off 2 pieces of gear and fight this guild FGE and win. I can take either a mental note or write down on a little scratch piece of paper FGE. If I win easily, I can write down that I won versus this guild. Same for losing. And then, in future matches, if I see that guild, I can either play it for a free win or avoid it knowing that I would lose. So let's go ahead and play Mr. Sink here. The lineup of your team is very important. I recommend putting your best 4 players in the first positions. Always have a tank in front. Notice our tank, for example, has the redirect run, and that is the one tank that you're going to want to have directly in your first group. This is going to allow your other players not to take as much damage. Notice also that my back player has the most health out of my DPS. That way if a spear comes, it's not a total loss. Okay, once again, never do auto. I'm going to start pressing 1 to build up my mana. And once I have the option to, I'm going to attack either the second or third position with only target minion attacks. The reason I don't do the back minion is because these teams are smart, and just like I was showing you previously, they usually put someone tankier in the back. So let's start off with, say, position number 2. Okay, he's half dead now. Notice I do not do a cleave. The reason I don't do a cleave is because by damaging, say, 3 members, if one of them has Jimmy and procs, it's going to heal every member for maybe 100 to 200 health. Now, if only one minion is injured, say this guy here, that means Jimmy is not going to be able to function at his highest abilities. So instead of healing the whole team for, say, 400 to 800 health, he's only going to heal 2 for half the healing. So keep that in mind. Okay, we're going to pick this player off again. It's now 3 versus 4. We are winning. Looks like he only has 1 member with a spear, so I'm going to put my guy in the back. Remember, if they have a sword, they can do a frontal cleave, the front 3 players. And I don't want my guy to die, so I'll put him in the back to reserve his health. My tank is taking a little bit of damage, so this guy is going to swap out, take 1 hit. Same principle applies. If we make sure that all of our teammates are damaged, that will give us much more healing when our Jimmy procs, and we have 4 of them. So if Jimmy procced right now, I would receive 100 healing per player versus just my tank. So always give your tank a break if possible. If your DPS is super low in health like me, I never put myself in the front. Okay, let's pick off the second player. This DPS is getting low. Let's go ahead and put the tank back. And I'm focusing on this guy every single time. Okay, now it's 2 to 4. We're doing great. Let's build our mana again. Now it's time to pick off the back player. But this guy's almost dead, so I might as well build my mana by just smashing 1. Okay, so I'm continuing to press just 1 here. Notice my Jimmy keeps proccing and healing my whole team versus just 1 player. Now it's wave 2. The tank is kind of low, so I'm going to let the DPS get hit again. He's almost full health because of Jimmy. Let's pick off position 2. Now notice he just healed for 148. If I was doing cleave, every person in his team would have healed for 148. And that would have been very crippling to my team. Okay, this tank is pretty low. I'm going to put him in the back and actually swap him out with this guy. The tank has more health than my DPS guy. Okay, position 2 again. Alright, now it's 4 to 3, and we still have a full wave after this. Let's go ahead and try to pick off the guy in the back. Keep in mind how much healing we're getting since all of our members are damaged. You want to take advantage of that switch button as much as you can. It's a lifesaver. A lot of players I talk to don't even use it at all. Notice all that healing. My tank is back here. My DPS is playing tank for now. Okay, that's another flawless victory here. Okay, and I do this all week long. Easy wins, just like this. All you have to do is take off 2 pieces of gear, remember the guilds you play so that you can have repeat wins over and over, and never give up. If your first wave dies and it looks like you're losing, continue with the strategy and you will pull out wins where it looks like just utter defeat. Please do continue to watch. I'm going to discuss familiars here shortly. and show you what kind of teams you can use even if you're as low as level 50. Alright, stay tuned. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some familiars. I will put a nice little picture after this of what specific familiars I would choose early on. But basically, let's just dive right into PvP. I only have one ticket, so we're just going to wager one. Let's click play. Again, I have 2 pieces of gear off. I'm going to stay away from spears. Let's see, this guy has a sword, nothing really fancy, and runs are all over the place. So let's play him. Now for my team, I would recommend Rollace if you can get him. However, let's talk about players that are just starting off. So for my tank, let's use Mr. Shramps. For one of my DPS, let's use a quirk. Highly recommend quirks. I used to run a team of 3 quirks, myself and a tank. Top 50 PvP on the server. Let's look for Mr. Pacho. Okay, he's another rare. You can find him in Zone 4. And also last, let's look at Mr. Shaman. See if we can find him here. Reason I don't pick Borland, again, discussed in other videos. For 2 mana, you can attack the furthest minion only. You cannot target a minion. The reason we have Quirk is that he can target a minion, just like that, any minion on the screen. Alright, let's look for... who did we say? Mr. Shaman. Okay, so we look at the Shaman. Again, 1 mana, target enemy. Let me show you how I win here. So this is with common minions. Quirk is an exception. If you would like to, what you could do is Shramps, yourself, and 3 Shamans. You would just blow away everybody in PvP. The reason you do this is to have specifically this attack, target enemy. Okay, so for the first 3, I'm going to have the highest health for the frontal cleave from swords, and in the back, my Shaman to catch any spears just randomly. Okay, let's go ahead and accept. Again, never do auto. As I look at his team, he's pretty stacked, but I think the thing I'm going to kill first is probably the blue spider, because it tends to heal a lot. So I'm going to start pressing 1. Now with this strategy, I don't want to swap out anything for my Shramps. I want Shramps to take all the damage. Look at that heal. That was 130 healing for every player, so about 500-600 health total. That's what we want to aim for. Okay, so let's kill the blue spider first. Now that we have enough mana, target enemy, blue spider. Quirk, target enemy, blue spider. Shaman, target enemy, blue spider. Pacho, target enemy, blue spider. Blue spider is now dead. The match is now 5-4. I basically just won the match by killing that one enemy. So now we identify what's the next threat. I looked at his health and he doesn't really have any evade or dodge. So I'm going to kill the player next. The reason I don't kill Curate or any of these is both of these are tanky, non-threats. Curate is a threat but has high health. So I'm actually going to kill the player first. So we're not going to switch Shramps, but we will switch, let's see, Pacho to the back. Because Shaman took some damage, we don't want a spear to randomly pick him off. Alright, let's keep pressing 1. Okay, now we can target enemy, player. 1, 1, 1. Target enemy, player. Target enemy, player. Target enemy, player. Target enemy, player. And we just won the match. That's how you beat it. And you don't have to be a super high-end level to do this. Keep in mind, you can do this with a team of 3 Shamans. I just don't have 3 Shamans to show you. But if I had Shramps and 3 Shamans and myself, all you do, press 1 until you have the ability to do the target minion attack, and then target out whatever weakest minion there is. I highly recommend healers first, whether that be Borland or Squibbo. And if you are versus, say, a DPS minion or a DPS player that has very low health, you can even kill the hero first. But one thing to always keep in mind in PvP is if you versus a tank and he has redirect, you do not want to fight them, ever. Okay, so that was a free win. I'm going to go ahead and end this portion of the video, and I'm going to talk about a few familiars and show a few pictures of specifically which ones I would have on my team if I was lower level. Keep it up, guys. Let me know below if this strategy works for you, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. And now we arrive to the preferred PvP teams. All of these are assuming that you're using a 5-man PvP team. I will simply let you read this for yourself, but if it is, for example, a 3 or 4-man, in the lower level preferred team, I would take away 1 or 2 shamans, for example. You can't do without your shramps. Mid-level, I would take away 1 or 2 quirks, depending on if it was 3 or 4-man, and the same in higher level. I would do without, say, 1 Robbie, or so on and so forth. I recommend you read these thoroughly. Take your time. Try out the team, specifically what I have typed here. If you substitute out other things, it's just not going to pan out the same way. Do keep in mind, as I stress through the whole video, the biggest thing to focus on is specifically the target minion ability. As we see right here, if your hero simply doesn't have the target minion ability, for example, if you are wielding a spear, and our strategy revolves around taking out 2 pieces of gear, but say you only have a spear, what you could do instead of taking off a piece of gear is downgrade your weapon to either a sword or a bow that's either an epic or a rare, and then it would work out just fine. Just count that as a piece of gear you took off, and that will enable you to have the target minion ability. The whole strategy of getting 90 to 95% win rate is specifically chasing that target minion ability. I've won thousands of matches now specifically using that ability. I will discuss further if you check out the document at the beginning. I've looked at every legendary there is in the game, and in my opinion, Robbie alone is worth taking into PvP. There's going to be a lot of arguments back and forth on whether you should use, say, Bobodom, but I will explain that in the document if you want to go and check that out. He just doesn't bring enough to PvP to really even entertain catching at all. So check out all the notes here. Let me know what you think below, and I look forward to hearing you guys' success. Make sure to follow everything to the T, and again, if you're going to substitute minions, the plan's just not going to work the same. So get in there and farm your shamans, farm your quirks. Obviously the higher level preferred team is much later game when you catch the Robbies, but the mid-level preferred team with the 3 quirks, I was able to finish with that exact team top 50 on the server week after week, multiple weeks. So check out the mid-level preferred team if you like, and just let me know below how it goes, guys. Good luck.